What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. Today I decided I was going to share with you guys my favorite movies of all time. I narrowed it down to 25. That's as small as I could get it without feeling like I was leaving things out that needed to be on the list. If you don't agree with my list, that's okay. It's my list, so I have quite a few honorable mentions, and I'm going to read them off this list that I have in front of me. Okay, Interstellar, Casino Royale, Logan, The Nice Guys, Peter Pan, not this one, this one. I know, you hate me yet? My cat wants my attention. It's okay, baby. She thinks I'm in distress. Road to Perdition, Saving Private Ryan, Seven Psychopaths, Spider-Man 2, Thor Ragnarok, Warrior, Zombieland, Aladdin, the cartoon this time, Arrival, Birdman, Blade Runner 2049, and The Breakfast Club. So let's get started with number 25. Coming in at number 25, we have 50-50, starring Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Seth Rogen. Now, when I first heard about this movie, I heard it was, a comedy drama about a guy who got cancer, and I was like, how are they going to pull that off? I watched the movie, and I cried like a baby, and then I've found myself wanting to rewatch it like over and over again, because it's just got such a great balance of comedy and drama. One of the few times I've actually found Seth Rogen really funny. The fact that it was based on a true story, it's just so well executed. Everybody does a great job. So that's why it's in my list. At the bottom, but it's still in my list. Alright, number 24, we have The Matrix. This is probably one of the first R-rated movies I saw. My parents tried to shield it from me for a while, because they knew some of the violence might be too much. What else can you say about The Matrix? The action scenes are just, they're uncomparable to today's action scenes, even compared to the sequels. The story is just so cool and complex, the way it kind of like reveals itself partway through the movie, like, wow, this is actually not real, like it was just such a cool idea, and I really love The Matrix. Coming in at number 23, we have Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. Now, I remember hearing about this when it came out, and then it just kind of came and went, and I was like, oh, it must not have been that good. One of my friends showed it to me, and I was very shocked. I was like, how did this movie not blow up in theaters? And when you watch it, you're just like, this movie's awesome. It's like a video game, comedy, action, all meshed into one thing, and it just works. It's so over the top, but in the best way. If you haven't seen this movie, go check it out. It's really, really good. Coming in at number 22, we have, I had to look again, Jurassic Park. I love Steven Spielberg, and this one is my favorite of his, I think. I've always loved dinosaurs growing up, so it was kind of like an easy pick. The way this movie is made, the way Spielberg moves with the camera, I'm such a fan of the way he directs scenes, and how he can move a camera so seamlessly from one thing to another and have it just seamlessly blend with the storytelling and the editing. It's just so great. And of course, John Williams' score is amazing. Coming in at number 21, we have Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. Now, I recently, within the last couple of years, found out about these movies. Not found out, but watched them for the first time. And I liked all of them, but this is the one that I was like, oh my gosh, this movie's awesome. Alfonso Cuarón directed this one, and he has a very similar style, I think, to Steven Spielberg. It has a different kind of tone going through it that the other Harry Potters just don't really have. I've fallen in love with Harry Potter since I watched these movies, and this one's definitely my favorite, so I had to put it in the list. Coming in at number 20, we have probably the most recent movie on this list, and that is Avengers Infinity War. Can you tell that I'm a fan? And I know this movie just came out, and in the future it might go up or down, I don't know, but as it stands right now, this is definitely one of my favorite superhero movies. I know that not every character in the movie gets their time to shine, but the way they the way they put all these different characters' stories and brought it to one climax where they have to stop Thanos was just such a cool thing to see. And the fact that it wasn't super convoluted is kind of a miracle, because you got people who make movies like Justice League that should be relatively straightforward by now, but they found a way to make that really kind of bleh. And this movie is just so exciting. Like I said, it might go up or down in the future, but as it stands right now, it's number 20. Coming in at number 19, we have my favorite Christmas movie, Home Alone. I watched this movie so much as a kid. Probably way too many times. Even when it wasn't Christmas, I was watching Home Alone. That's the kind of kid I was. I wanted to be Kevin McAllister. I don't know why I did, because I really didn't want to be left home alone for like a week, and I didn't want to have to fight off burglars. But just watching his antics and the way he kind of like took advantage of people being gone, I was like, that's the way I want to live. And now I'm like, why did I ever want to live like that? But it's a blast to watch. Coming in at number 18, one of the best action movies of recent years, Mad Max Fury Road. I don't think I've ever seen an action movie quite like Mad Max Fury Road. And I've seen all the other Mad Maxes. I actually watched all three of them right before I saw this one. And I loved all of them, really. Beyond Thunderdome is kind of iffy. But this movie, like, they don't make them like this much anymore. Like, it's so bizarrely out there. The car chase scenes are just incredible. I really can't think of a movie that's like Mad Max, other than maybe Road Warrior, but this is just like a better version of Road Warrior. But yeah, Mad Max Fury Road. Love it. I don't know why I made that face. Coming in at number 17, we have Hot Fuzz. Now, I love all the Cornetto trilogy. Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, The World's End. This one's by far my favorite. I've rewatched it the most times. I keep finding myself wanting to watch it. It's one of those movies I keep going back to when I'm kind of like in a bad mood or having a bad day, and it just kind of like lifts my spirits every time. It's hilarious. Edgar Wright is an amazing director. He also did Scott Pilgrim. The way he does visual comedy is just brilliant. He's an amazing director, and I love Hot Fuzz. Coming in at number 16, we have Good Will Hunting. It was kind of weird watching the special features and seeing that Matt Damon and Ben Affleck were like not very well known when this came out, because now they're such big stars. But you think to back then, they just wrote this script and got their movie greenlit, and it's just like one of the most well-known movies ever. Like, it's so quotable. The "How do you like them apples?" and Robin Williams' monologue about his wife farting in her sleep. Like, it's just so good. There's so many good character moments, and it's really got a good emotional core to it. Another movie that kind of makes me tear up when I watch it. Love Good Will Hunting. All right, 15, we have Gladiator. Now, I love me a good swords and sandals medieval epic, and Gladiator is definitely one of the best ones. I remember watching this for the first time all the way through, and by the end of it, I was like surprised that I was more invested in like the story and the character moments than I was like the medieval sword fighting action stuff. And all that's really cool. But by the end of the movie, you're just so like wrapped up in the story. You want Maximus to succeed. You don't want Commodus to get what he wants. It's just such an epic and fun journey. Coming in at 14, we have Inception. When Inception came out, I remember I was with a group of friends, and we were down at the beach, and we were really bored. We wanted to go see a movie. None of us knew of any we wanted to go see, and one of my friends was like, "How about that Inception movie? It's like about dreams. It looks kind of like trippy. Like maybe it'll be fun." So we all, buy tickets, go sit down at the theater, and within like 20 minutes, we were like, what is going on? We did not expect this movie to be that good. I've rewatched it multiple times since then, and it just gets better and better. Inception is one of the better action movies to come out this decade, I think. That's why it's number 14. Coming in at 13, another swords and sandals epic, Braveheart. Some of these movies you're like, oh, of course you love that movie. Everyone loves that movie. But there's a reason people love popular movies. It's because they're really good, and Braveheart is one of those movies. Mel Gibson directed the heck out of this movie. I don't know why I said that word so weird. The fact that he was able to direct this movie as well as he did, and give the strong performance in the lead that he did, is incredible to me. Like, anytime a director-actor can do that, I'm impressed. And like the action scenes, they're insane. Like, I watched this with my wife a couple of years ago, and she said, I liked the movie, I liked the story, I just wish the battle scenes weren't so long. I'm like, okay, yeah, I get that. I think on this other spectrum, I think some of the guys probably wish the action scenes were longer. But Braveheart is amazing. It's It's such a great story, and it's got one of the best scores ever with all the bagpipes. Love bagpipes. So, Braveheart. Coming in number 12, we have my favorite animated movie, The Lion King. This is another one I probably wore the VHS out of when I was growing up. This movie never got old, and still I can watch it like a couple times a week probably, and it never loses steam. From the score, which is amazing, Hans Zimmer is awesome, to the tone that it strikes. So it's like this weird balance of like, you have these really fun light moments, and then you have like Mufasa dies and Scar takes over the Pride Lands and there's no food. It seems like they should be like opposing and clashing things that work really well for a fun Disney movie. I mean, you gotta love all the characters, Pumbaa, Timon. There's nothing not to like about Lion King, and that's why I love it. Coming in at number 11, we have probably the oldest movie on this list, and that is Alien. I cannot believe this movie came out in 1979 and still holds up as well as it does. Like, I watched this, I think, 5 years ago for the first time, and I was like, this movie came out in 79? Like, it looks like it could have come out in the past couple of years. It just looks so good. That's a tribute to Ridley Scott as a director. Like, he knew how much to show the alien, how when to hide it. It's such a masterclass in suspense and horror. It's just so good. And, like, it's not really that violent. Like, the chestburster scene is kind of like the, oh, wow, that's gross. But really, everything else is kind of more suggested. That's the only thing that's really shown. And I love when directors do that. And Alien's probably my favorite example of a director doing that well. Alright, we're getting into the top 10 now. These are the ones that really, there's a reason these are on my top 10. These movies really made an impact on me, and that's why they've remained in my top 10. So coming in at number 10, we have Prisoners. This movie will completely destroy you in the best way if you're a fan of dark movies, which I am, of course. When I saw this in the theater about 5 years ago, I left the theater in a state of like, I don't know, I was just so contemplative and melancholy. I went to Chick-fil-A afterwards, and I just like sat there by myself just looking out the window just like, I don't know what to do now. It was just such a heavy movie. The performances, Hugh Jackman, Jake Gyllenhaal, Terrence Howard, Lisa Leo, like all these actors give amazing performances. And the fact that it didn't get any Oscar nominations is kind of a shock to me. At least Roger Deakins got nominated for cinematography, because the cinematography in this movie is outstanding. So good. Prisoners made a huge impact on me the first time I saw it, and that's why it's number 10. Coming in at number 9, we have Unbreakable. This was the first time that I saw an M. Night Shyamalan movie and was actually kind of blown away. I would have been blown away watching The Sixth Sense if the twist had not been ruined for me, but it was. And I liked Signs, I liked some of his others, I liked Split, his most recent, but Unbreakable is the first time that I saw an M. Night Shyamalan movie, and I was just like, I love this movie. Like, immediately after it was over, I was just like, this is one of my favorite movies, like, no doubt. And I think it's the fact that it's like a comic book movie in disguise. I know a lot of people have described it like that. It kind of sneaks up on you. Like, even if you know that going in, like the way that it's filmed and the way the story's told, it's not like in your face, like, this is a comic book movie, he's a superhero. Like, really, you kind of like slowly learn, like, oh wow, this is kind of a comic, this is a comic, whoa, he's a superhero. Like, it just kind of like sneaks up on you. And I love the way that it does that. So yeah, Unbreakable, love it. Coming in at number, coming in at number 8, we have Whiplash. If you don't know, I'm a drummer. I've been playing drums for about 17 years, coming on that number. Wow. So whenever I see a good movie about musicians, kind of like, my ears perk up. And the fact that this one was about a drummer, I was very intrigued. I love that this movie is so honest in its storytelling, the way that it portrays a guy who wants to just be a great drummer, and he's willing to do whatever it takes, and then he's got this teacher who is consistently just like pounding him and trying to get the best out of him and using the worst methods to do it. There's just so much tension in the movie, and I love the way that it kind of like includes everyone, not just musicians. It's like, hey, are you passionate about this? Well, imagine that scenario, but the kind of situation that Miles Teller's character is in. And I love the way that it doesn't just try to make it all about musicians. It captures that journey of someone who's obsessed with something and passionate about something so well that it's not just about a drummer trying to do that, it's just about a person trying to achieve a dream. I love it. It's a great movie. Coming in at number 7, we have The Last Samurai. Definitely my favorite Tom Cruise movie. I went into this movie wanting to see some epic action and battles. I came out of this movie the first time I watched it very emotionally satisfied with the beautiful story that was told about two cultures learning to accept and love one another as brothers. And I just think that's such a beautiful story, and it's so well told. And of course the action's epic, and Hans Zimmer's score again is amazing. It's just such a beautiful movie. Like, you wouldn't think a movie called The Last Samurai, advertised as a Tom Cruise action movie, is like a beautiful. You wouldn't think it would be described as beautiful, but that's how I think of this movie. I think it's a beautifully told story. Coming in at number 6, we have Back to the Future. Again, another classic. Everyone loves this movie. I know. There's a reason. It's a near perfect movie. Like, really, there's not really a major issue with this movie that you can pick out. I mean, if you have a problem with his mom having a crush on him because she doesn't know it's her son, that's kind of weird, sure, but that's kind of like the point. It's funny. This movie is just so much fun. It's one of the most fun, entertaining experiences you can have watching a movie. It's just a tribute to the story and the storytelling, the way that it's told, the way that it's shot. It's just so much fun. I can't even talk because of how good it is. Alright, well, now we're getting in the top 5. These are the ones. These are the real heavy hitters now. You ready for this? I'm not. Number 5, we have Goodfellas. One of the first Martin Scorsese movies I've ever seen. And it's funny, this movie came out the same year as Home Alone, which Joe Pesci was also in. And growing up, I watched Home Alone a lot, so I knew Joe Pesci as Harry, the guy who was always like, and they said that Joe Pesci was making those noises because he's a very vulgar man. And after watching Goodfellas, I completely understand that now. Joe Pesci in this movie is just all kinds of crazy. Every other word out of this guy's mouth is either the F-bomb or some other obscene word. But as far as like gangster mafia movies go, this is definitely my favorite of the bunch. I mean, that's kind of where Martin Scorsese is most at home, I think. I mean, everyone across the board. Robert De Niro, Ray Liotta, Joe Pesci, everyone else in the cast does an amazing job. And it's one of the first like mafia gangster epics that I ever saw, that at the end of it I was just like, wow, I feel like I lived through that. Like, I feel like I was Henry Hill, the main character. I felt like I was living through that, all the like ups and downs, and am I gonna get whacked? Am I gonna get given $1 million? I don't know. And I just love the way that Martin Scorsese shot this movie. It's just so fun. Alright, number 4, we have The Shawshank Redemption. This is another one that'll kind of emotionally wreck you for a good portion of the movie. And then at the end, you just feel so good. You've seen this horrible journey that Andy Dufresne's going through. Like, I was sentenced here for something I didn't do. I had to endure all these years in this prison. But then he made some amazing friends, and he learned some things, I'm sure. And he finally got out, and he got to live the rest of his life. It's just so satisfying to watch. And I think that's why everyone loves this movie, because it's such a satisfying movie to watch. Alright, the top 3. These have pretty much been set for the past, 5 or 6 years, even before I made this list. So number 3 is going to be The Dark Knight. Now, I'm a huge Batman fan. I'm wearing a Batman hat right now, if you can see. I loved the Batman cartoon growing up. I watched all the old 90s Batman movies. But this one, I mean, again, everyone loves The Dark Knight. It's always the best comic book movie ever. And it is. It's my favorite comic book movie. And it's because it's not a comic book movie. It's a crime drama with Batman and an insane psychopath who calls himself the Joker. It feels like Batman is real when you're watching it. Like, all the other Batman movies, it's kind of been pretty, cartoony and over the top, and it's like, oh yeah, fun. But this whole Dark Knight trilogy, but this one in particular, you watch it and you're just like, this stuff can really happen. Like, there could be an insane guy out there who paints his face and has scars on his lips and he calls himself the Joker. And there could be some billionaire out there who has all this high-tech gadgets and dresses up as a bat. Really, that sounds silly saying that, but when you watch this movie, that's what you're kind of like thinking. And of course, Heath Ledger's performance as the Joker, every time I watch this movie, it makes me smile, it makes me like cringe, it makes me get the shivers. It's just so good. You gotta love The Dark Knight. Alright, coming in at number 2. I'm gonna cheat with this one, but I'm choosing the Lord of the Rings trilogy because I cannot watch just one of these movies anymore. If I'm going to watch one of them, I have to watch all of them within a couple days, or I just feel incomplete. I watched these movies when I was pretty young, and these were some of the first movies I watched where I was just like, wow, movies are cool. Like, movies can really take you on journeys. And I think when I first saw Return of the King in theaters, and then when it came out on DVD, I think I watched it like once a week for like almost a whole year. Because it's just such a, like, the whole trilogy builds up to this epic climax that I just kept wanting to watch like the climax part because it was so satisfying. Like, you're just like, oh yes, every like loose end is tied up, every character gets their moment, but it's because the first two movies set it up so well. Alright, getting to number 1. This is the movie that got me into movies in the first place. Really kind of opened my eyes to the power of cinema, and the various different things it can make you feel and see and hear, and that is Drive. Now, a lot of you already knew this because I said it in my Blu-ray collection video, and I've posted it on Facebook if you're friends with me. But this movie is just, it's perfect. Like, to me, it's perfect. Due in part to the fact that Ryan Gosling is the main character, and I kind of have a man crush on him. But also, this was the movie that when I first saw it, I was like, kind of like, this is so different. Like, is it good different? Is it bad different? I don't know. And I gotta give credit where credit is due. Chris Stuckman, if you know who Chris Stuckman is, he's a pretty well-known YouTube movie reviewer. He put out an analyzed video on this movie, because he was like the first reviewer I saw that was like, yeah, Drive is awesome, it's a masterpiece. So I watched this analyzed video and I was like blown away at how many details were hidden throughout this movie. It really was the first movie that made me realize, like, you can tell a story visually with minimal dialogue, just really well shot scenes, really good editing, amazing score, and amazing acting. Drive is such a unique movie, and I know a lot of people today, you know, if people talk about Drive, it's usually because they're saying they love it. Back when it came out, it was not very well received. Like, even my group of friends that I watched it with the first time, they were kind of like, this movie's boring. Like, I don't want anything to happen. And I was kind of like put off at first. I was like, yeah, maybe it is boring. But it was also like 2 in the morning when we were trying to watch it, so I was kind of like, eh. But upon second watch, I was really, when I sort of noticed, I was like, okay, yeah, this movie's different. And then every time I've watched it since then, it just gets better and better, and I have to watch it at least once a year, maybe twice. That's the reason it's number 1. But those are my top 25 movies. Really, it's more like 40-something, my honorable mentions, but you get the gist of it. This list will probably change multiple times within the course of the next year, so maybe Nah, I'm not going to make another one of these. This list was too hard to make. But yeah, if you like this video, make sure to click the like button, subscribe if you want to see more. I'm planning on doing some reviews of singular movies very soon. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.